Hello, designers. This is Rebecca, and this is your Assignment 3 Sustainable Packaging Critique. Let's go through the requirements, and then I'll check out your submissions. So for this assignment, this assignment aimed to discover effective and efficient design solutions for sustainable design concepts. Students will research and analyze a product or service to evaluate its sustainability and propose design solutions that would make it more environmentally friendly. The successful design outcome will demonstrate practical design concepts that promote sustainable product values. Design a futurism logo and sustainable package for a grooming or hygiene product targeting a male identifying environmentally conscious consumer. Where will this man store this product? How will they interact with it? How can you make them interested in purchasing this object? Using your logo and branding standards, you'll create a packaging design comp and mockup. We're going to scroll on down to the checklist here. So your slide deck was to include the following: persona, screenshot of the group artifacts analysis spreadsheet. You were to circle the entries that sparked your sustainable packaging idea, a mind map, a mood board, 10 to 16 numbered logos and packaging pitch sketches, your brand guide, your packaging mockups. If necessary, you could include an additional slide with an illustration or explanation of how men will interact with this product or the packaging or the object. And then slides 9 through 12 will show each mockup on their own slide as large as possible. Then a written reflection with on the overall project, what you liked, where you ran into difficulties, how you overcame any challenges, and why you chose those specific colors, fonts, textures, patterns, and the final design. And then you were excited. So let's go ahead and get into it. First up today is Nicholas. Oops, sorry, I jumped right past your first. Whoa, okay, here we go. So here's your advertisements. On this one, I'm not going to read all of the stuff out loud just to make the video a little shorter. I'm going to pause the recording and read it myself and then start recording again, just so you know. All right, so here's our awesome persona. Not quite the persona. This looks more like the mood board. But I love those fonts so much, and you have some really good stuff on here. I see some nice sustainable product packaging and a lot of really good futurism options, and the color palette looks great. Group artifact sheet, so you were all about shaving cream or aftershave. Excellent. And our mind map. All right, great. Mood board again. Logo and thumbnails. Excellent. I don't think I saw these. Okay, here we go. And here's our brand guide. Cool, all right. Let me keep going. Great. Nice. Very pretty, really nice mock-ups. Okay, so this project, this project, I enjoyed the color scheme I ended up with and the easy, straightforward subject matter. I found it fun to use the green as a secondary color and as a contrast to the paper brown. The planning went smooth and fairly quickly up to the point I had a solid idea. The only part that I really had trouble with was finding the mock-ups for the type of packaging that I had in mind, which is why some are slightly different. I think I could have added some details. However, I do enjoy the simplicity of the design and think it works well with the idea of healthy and environmentally friendly products. The whole design philosophy was using the negative and positive space mixed with simple geometry that I found in my mood board from Futurism. Obviously, the green was to be environmentally friendly, but the cardboard color and simple black sort of accomplished the same thing. Great. Okay, so if you could please go ahead and email me your persona for this project. I think you just got it mixed up, got the file mixed up on your slide presentation, just so I can make sure that I can give you all the credit. Secondly, let's look at your logo here. So, all right, so these kind of stars that kind of invert like this with a smooth, rounded inner point, I call those Stardust stars, like as a reference to the Stardust Hotel in Las Vegas and their incredible sign that they used to have. And so that's like a mid-century modern kind of star that we saw come out later on. I don't really see these kinds of shapes at all in Futurism. Let me go back to your thing here. So it's not to say that they didn't exist in Futurism. I've just never seen them. So if you saw a Futurism example that does have those stars, then please let me know. But otherwise, I would recommend having your stars be more angular. So if we look at this font here, we have lots of triangles and stuff, and you could easily make a four-pointed star out of triangles with maybe a square in the center. I'm just talking about like more sharp edges. This beautiful font here has nice sharp edges. And while there are some circles, it's just not like this. I don't know how else to explain it. So um, I do like the clean sparkles idea, and I love the razor going through uh, with these like swipe marks. You know, it does give it that. First of all, like diagonals are really big in Futurism as well as motion, and so I think that does give it a motion. But I recommend maybe rotating the razor so that it is like a true in the same direction as these swipies, and try a star with you know more points, like with actual all sharp angles, basically, if that makes any sense. Okay, if the sharp angles don't look right, then maybe we need to go a different route, but um, just as of right now, this is feeling more mid-century modern, and only because of the stars. And then this font is really fun. Um, so I'm wondering if there's a font option for this regime font, like for this part to be black, like the font style black, where it's super thick bold, like extra bold. So then your thickness of your P will be similar to the rest of the text here for the ulito. But if there's not, if bold is as big as it gets, then maybe consider switching the P to just the regular style or a semi-bold, and see if your thickness for the P at this size and is the same as the rest of the text at the bold size, at the bold style. I don't know if I said that clearly. Let me try again. So right now, notice how your P is thicker, much thicker, because you scaled it up than the rest of the text. If you want your text to be more uniform, but you want to keep the large scaled P, we can make the actual capital P be either regime grotesque regular and keep the ulito part bold, then that will make the thickness of the P closer to the rest of the letters. Or if there is a regime grotesque black option or extra bold option, leave the capital P at this scale bold, and then turn the rest of the text into that either extra bold or black option, and see if it gets the thickness of all the text the same. All right, I love the color palette very much. I think it's perfect. I think the gold is kind of cool too with this palette, but I understand what you're saying about not having the same mock-ups. So what I'm thinking is go with just this mock-up, because we see a top view and a side view. And then you can kind of copy this guy here, like you can duplicate this one and show us the ingredients on the other side, Now, what I like about this one is the scale of the logo. We can see the whole thing. So I do recommend making your logo smaller if you go forward with this mock-up, so we can see it all on that front of the thing, and then figure out what's going on down here as far as like, will any of these things be centered under our logo, like you have this biodegradable part centered under your ingredients. All right, and this is cool over here what you did. I like that a lot. I think that's good to go. Nope. You actually consider pulling the star a little bit further away from the edge here, so nudging these stars left, so you have a bit of a margin. Or if you want it to run off the edge, that's fine. Move it further to the right to make more of it run off the edge so that it looks like you're intentionally, going after that bleed. But if you don't, then you need to give it more of an intentional margin. Okay, great. I don't think we need this section here. We can get rid of that. Then that's it. All right. Thank you so much, Nicholas. All right, next up is Nathan. Great, here's Nathan's persona. Excellent. My husband also hates a bad haircut. All right. And here is the group artifacts. Excellent. All right, so like exfoliant or aftershave or shaving cream. Ooh, really good looking mind map. I love it. Really good. Great mood board. All right. So your futurism, you went with the more painterly ones, which is really cool. I like to see what people gravitate towards. There's a few different styles kind of in futurism, and I think it's really neat to see what people like. We got some Italian stuff in here. Excellent. Lots of natural things. We've got a great color palette. Cool. Okay, and some fonts. And here's our logo thumbnails. Great. Great. Okay, so let's see what we came up with. All right, we have lots of variations. Excellent. Dinamismo. All right, let's keep going. Great. Cool. Okay, this is great. Great mock-ups. Really nice. Okay. All right, cool. All right. One word that would summarize this project would be considerate. There were many factors that had to be accounted for upon designing, such as the art movement, the project goals, the method sustainability of packaging, and the mood. It felt like I had to be more careful with my decisions than the previous projects, making the project incredibly more challenging. My first obstacle was the logo design, in which the flow of ideas felt stagnant and the ideas were uncoordinated. I discovered there was a disconnect between mottos of hygiene and the Italian futurism movement, control and minimalism versus aggression and maximalism. I realized that the maximal design can still appear controlled and clean, so I designed my logo to appear swift and aggressive to associate with the brand name, but controlled enough to make the letters of the name readable when focused upon. Despite having a mood board for the brand that depicted the color palette, my second obstacle was the color palette. I wanted the colors to associate with the brand's focus of masculine health, but was also trapped by my personal color preferences, where I originally wanted a sky blue and a much brighter and vibrant green and a third color. I transitioned from this idea by focusing more on environmentalism and masculine colors. So I decided to create contrast between using two different values of green and removing the third color choice. My last challenges were finding mock-ups for sustainable packaging for a foam bar and a box. Of course, the box was easier to find than the bar, since almost every bar was inadequate for matching the angle of the box. However, I do wish I found a similarly sized box that has a cutout that is similar to the one I tried to Photoshop, so that the mock-up appears better. Despite having the challenge of finding mock-ups, I found some that were suitable to evoke sustainability and fulfill the inventory. I designed the mock-ups to give instant information minus the ingredients that included brand name, disposal instructions, product inventory, product title, a barcode, and icons to elevate the feel of sustainability. I wanted to ensure that the package design did not include any unnecessary elements because I imagined this box to be on the smaller to medium size and felt that unnecessary would make the user annoyed at navigating, so I kept everything minimal and simple. For my logo, I chose the fonts Futura PT Heavy Oblique and Regime Round Medium Oblique to create a sense of cleanliness because they are sans serif typefaces, but also to create a sense of movement. For the packaging, I used Futura PT Medium to highlight important information, but contrasted it with Futura PT Book for lengthier bodies of text. To subtly enhance the packaging, I added a zigzag pattern to enhance dynamism and through its energetic up and down movement and enhance the after effects of a great shave, feeling confident, looking sharp and clean, and being able to move forward. Overall, the project was more complicated than others, but was still fun to research and execute. Super. Okay, let's get on back in here. All right. So I love this shape that you created. I think it is very futurism. There's so much movement, and we have some repetitive shapes in a way that, like this kind of layering of a repetition, which is super futurism. Fantastic work there. I love this name. Um, I like the little sub or the little tagline underneath is nice. So I do not think you need a circle. We just don't need that big old thick circle. It doesn't need it. So you can have the horizontal version and the stacked version, the icon by itself and the word by itself. So I think that's great. We don't need to throw in this fourth element here, okay, of the circle. Then I do recommend making that tagline a little bit bigger, especially in the horizontal version. That scaling down gets a little lost, so it's totally okay to make it bigger. And whatever size you make it bigger here, make it bigger, make it the same, size on the centered version so that that stays similar. I think you could also, I think you could scale up the icon on the centered version and consider scaling down the icon on the horizontal version. Um, just play with it a bit, okay, if you do that. Great, okay. As far as the fonts go, Futura is my favorite font, so there's that. All right, so here's our pattern. Let's go ahead and go back in. I think I'm sorry, I'm getting out of control. I like this light green too. I think that's a nice third color if you consider that. Great, because here you have black as a color. Is that black or is that the dark green? No, I'm sorry. This might be that dark green. I'm having a hard time telling. Hold on, going back. Okay, got it. But now you've got another color here. So that's where I'm getting thrown off. I think what you did was lowered the hue, maybe, of that dark green to get this color here. But I'm not crazy about that. I'm not crazy about that color with this green here. You know what I mean? Um, so it could be really cool to have this all be that super dark black color, and maybe you're doing a gradient here where you're lowering your opacity. Consider instead having your gradient go from the dark black to this green. I'm sorry, I keep saying dark black. The dark green to this green. You could try that kind of a gradient instead of lowering the opacity to create this almost teal color, Okay, and then I think that these zigzags are working nicely here. I feel like you had some negative space that you felt like you needed to fill. You know what I'm saying? So instead of doing that, get rid of that single zigzag because it's not showing up anywhere else, right? It's not showing up on this packaging or on the product itself. It's just you're using it as a pattern effectively, but singling it out, this just feels like a space filler. So instead of doing your centered logo, you have room for your horizontal logo, right? And I'm just looking at all this little tiny stuff. Yeah, all these icons look fantastic. The barcode looks good. Showing your quantity nice and big is a great idea. I love that you have directions there. I think that's all working really nicely. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. And you did a great job with packing these up like this. I know it's not easy. This all looks really good, like you're photoshopping. So don't be hard on yourself about how these turned out. I think they're great. So the only other thing I recommend on here is giving yourself a bit more of a margin on the edges here. So that just means scaling all this stuff down a little bit, okay? But your margins look really great through here. They look really good on this side. Consider, I don't know how easy that is to do. I was going to say, consider having your logo on the top here, but I don't have a problem with it wrapping. Never mind. Leave those as is. Okay, great. In your Photoshop, what you could do is copy these little bars here and put another one below so that it does look like there's two stacked on top of each other, unless they're supposed to be next to each other. No, see, they're stacked like that. So I would just increase the scale of these circles and bring them all the way to the edge, and then maybe throw another one on underneath, like if you could see them, just layer them like that. So it looks like that. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Nathan. And next up is Derek. Great, here's Derek's persona, Adam. I love this. If I can't pronounce it, it's staying off my body. I'm kind of with that, like that with food right now. If I can't pronounce it, it's not going in my mouth. Great. And here is your group artifacts. We're going for the hair clay. Excellent. Great looking mind map. I love it. Really nice. Great looking mood board. We've got a lot of futurism. All this super angular stuff. Some nice natural packaging. Looks really good. And a really cool color palette. I love it. Here's our logo sketch. Vitale. Love it. And our sketch for the packaging. Easy enough. Really cool. Oh, it's cool. I love it. Really neat. All right, let's keep going. Sick. This pattern, fantastic. Really cool. What is Vitale? Vitale is a modern grooming brand that reimagines masculinity through the lens of Italian futurism. The name is Italian for vital, meaning essential, full of life, and indispensable. Rooted in intention and sustainability, the brand delivers a refined grooming experience while cracking down on waste. The core product is a stronghold matte style clay housed in a reusable brushed aluminum tin with a premium feel. Instead of buying new tins, users can opt for clay refill pucks wrapped in recycled and seeded paper. Cool. A combinato starter set includes both the tin and a refill puck packaged in a recycled cardboard tube that's sized to fit it with precision, cutting excess waste bulk and ink. Every print is applied with minimal overage using plant-based dyes, reflecting Vitale's commitment to sustainability. Vitale isn't just about looking sharp, it's about designing smarter. It challenges throwaway culture with a product built to last, packaged with purpose, and styled with conviction. Awesome. Cool. Really nice. So tackling futurism was an interesting exercise. On one hand, it is deceptively simple and lacks the ornamentation of the previous two styles, but on the other, it was difficult to gather direct design references, as the research mostly consists of artwork. What ended up helping me was looking long and hard at the typographic examples I could find. I was unsure of how to approach the logo due to the abstract nature of futurism. I ended up doodling the word Vitale in geometric styles until over the course of my sketches, it began to take more proper futurism form. As I sketched, I developed an understanding that futurist typography can be erratic and plays with negative space. The logo I arrived at represents my interpretation of futurist typography in a more refined logo-ready form, and my intention was to communicate sustainability not through literal icons, but through less is more negative space. I wanted to create a brand I could see myself using, a product that solves a real problem. I could have done a natural deodorant, but I find that they do not serve as as well as antiperspirants, and the market for natural lip balm is already saturated. The idea of reusable containers and refills came from a long-running idea of mine that grocery stores could have a refill system to cut down on packaging. By having my brand focus on sustainability through packaging, I thought it'd be an interesting connection to the dialogue in industrialism by futurism. Designing and mocking up the products was fun, but I felt it tricky to channel futurism while keeping hypothetical ink use low. The pattern on the box combo lid was especially challenging. It needed to balance mechan mech sorry, yeah, mechanistic, oof, that was hard. Mechanistic futurism with minimalist, softer design cues to suggest sustainability. In the end, this project challenged me to design with restraint and to marry opposing aesthetics like mechanism and eco-friendliness. Excellent. Okay, so oop, I wish I could see that pattern. I want to see it. Is it like combs and razors? I just want to figure it out so bad. Okay. All right. So I love this Regulator Nova Heavy font. I think it's really cool, and Futurism is my all-time favorite font. So I'm stoked with that combination. I think really they work really nicely together. Look how cool that G is. Ooh, it's really neat. The logo is so cool. I love what you did with the negative space, with the eye right there, and then this E kind of playing off the edge. I think it's really neat. As well as the A, blocking out the negative space of the A is really cool. And then we've got our P. Like, this is some real work. Sorry, my dog's scratching in the background. I think it turned out great. I think it's very cool. And then this I kind of turns into a little person. You know what I mean? It's really neat. It's cool. So this is also really nice here with these edges and what you did with matte and refill puck. I think that looks really cool. This looks nice too. Really nice. All right, and so for this mock-up, it appears to me like there's room in the starter kit to have the tin in there and then maybe two extra pucks, and there could be a puck inside of the tin too. So I don't know if you'd consider maybe um, changing this to matte clay tin plus 3 eco pucks or something like that. Um, I don't know, but because you mentioned how the starter pack fits it perfectly, so I think that, that would kind of make sense there. But I love how you did your bevel and emboss on the metal tin. That looks really nice. And yeah, it just all looks really cool. I think it's really neat. Really nice. Thank you so much. Next up is Shalom. Here is the persona for Mikey. I love that TikTok taught him how to take care of his beard. Great. And here is our list here. Great, we're going with some razor blades. Excellent. We got our mind map. All right, Osari. And here is our mood board. Very nice. All right, I love that color palette, and I love the Futurismo, or Futurismo um, font with the regime round. That's gonna look great. All right, great. Can't wait to see what you came up with. Excellent. We got our blades and disposal. Excellent. All right. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Very futurism. We went with a cooler, like almost black and white type, or I'm sorry, color palette. Really nice. Oh, that looks nice. Okay, reflection. This project was pretty challenging. I found myself loving the style of futurism, but it was a pain to try to replicate. I think I had the most trouble with my sketches. I didn't really know what to do, as the references I saw were of very complex paintings, and I wasn't sure on how I could portray speed and dynamic shapes effectively. I went digging a little more and tried looking at the graphic design side of futurism. I came across Fortunato de Tipero and his Campari advertisements. I loved his use of dynamic lines and 3D, so I used his work as inspiration. I used the pen tool mostly. There are a few things I had trouble doing, and it was difficult to try to search it up, but I worked my way around it, and overall, it was a fun challenge. Super. Okay, so let's get back to it. All right. Let me keep going. I'm sorry. All right. So I want to start here, and I love this color palette. Like, I love it. I love what you did as well. But we've got like some really cool red with black as well as blue with black. So there's that. Secondly, so I loved these thumbnails so much. You were mentioning how it was hard for you, but all I see is futurism when I look at these. Like, you did such an awesome job, like really pulling from those paintings as well as the graphic design stuff. And I mean, I see all the influences. Like, I think it's really neat. So don't be hard on yourself, because you did a great job channeling this futurism style for sure. And then, uh, sorry, my dog's scratching in the background. Okay, this is super futurism, like so crazy, perfectly futurism. All of this, shoom, shoom, like it's just so much motion. These razors just kind of like breaking out or like flying out. This shape here is really cool. That's so unique. I really love that. Your gradients look really nice. I mean, the blades are like thicker than regular razor blades would be, but it's so perfectly futurism, having these like blocky three-dimensional shapes, that it's really cool. Like, I don't want you to change the thickness of how these appear, by adding these gradient edges. I think it looks really neat. And same with this, like cutting this razor blade um, to go along with this shape is really cool. Now, what I want to talk to you about though is the gestalt of this logo. So if we squint our eyes, it's like it's not balanced, and I'm sure that there are examples of futurism where there is not, things aren't perfectly balanced. But the other thing is if we were to scale this down with these little pieces of text here, we're gonna lose it. So let me zoom way out here. So even about here, we start losing that readability. Do you know what I mean? And I just honestly don't think you need those at all, because you have razor blades in the logo. I don't care when it was established as far as that information needing to be in the logo itself. Like, if it was on the packaging, that's cool. I do like it there, but I don't need it in a logo. You know what I mean? So I just say get rid of those two little babies, this one and this one, and then you're good to go, you know? All right. And then even here, you introduce the blue in your, let me get back to nice and big, in your slide. And I can see that this is not a true dark black. It's a dark, dark blue, which I love, love, love. But then we get to our packaging here and it looks completely grayscale. You know, like I don't see any blue in it. And I think that blue would pop off of that natural brown paper texture so gorgeously. So if that's an option to get the blue back into that logo like it is here, then go for it. So maybe you did have the blue in it, and when you changed your opacity or your blending mode, you lost the blue, but trust me, that blue will look dope. Okay, so then if you do change your logo, just make sure you change it on here too. So then you can have on the bottom of this like razor blades established 2025. Right now with Dare to Glide, razor blades, and the established at 2025, since they're all a similar font size, like I can see these are all caps, so this is actually smaller than this text here, but they all feel like little afterthoughts that you just kind of sprinkled on there. And we want them to feel super intentional, um, like the rest of the packaging and your placement of all these things. Okay, um, so I think that maybe what you might consider doing is, um, let me just look at this. Okay, great. So I was going to say you could make Dare to Glide larger. It could even be down here, you know, make the number of razor blades in the package. That would be helpful, right? Um, down here, and then you could have the words razor blades as well. The established in 2025, I'm not sure where to put that right now. Like it's not really, I'm not seeing a spot for that that makes sense with the other messaging. And over here, I do not think this all needs to be in caps, in all caps. The zero waste eco-friendly could be in all caps, but having a paragraph in all caps is, people will stop reading it after the first couple lines, okay? All right, great. But you did a fantastic job replicating futurism, okay? Thank you so much. Next up is Riley. Great. And here is Riley's persona for Weston. I like that. Clean living shouldn't come at the planet's expense. That's nice. Great. And here is our artifacts analysis. Okay, great. So we're going with some aftershave. Portable, easy to use. Great looking mind map. I love it. Very nice. And here's our mood board. Cool. We're going with some greens. We have some great little futurism examples over here. Went with the more graphic and two-toned options. And then we have lots of natural things. Looking good. And I love this is a really nice combination right here. That's going to look great. Great. Ooh, I can't wait to see what you did. All right. Great. And you went with a refillable pouch. Good idea. Okay. And here's the branding guide. All right. So we have 3 different logo variations. We have a really nice color palette. I love these fonts. And let's go ahead and see it on the packaging. Great. Okay. Excellent. Very nice. Mhm, mhm. Really good. Great. All right, so I decided to make packaging for a men's aftershave. After looking at real product packaging for the analysis part of the project, I took note of what worked and what didn't. I wanted mine to be simple, easy to use, and not over-designed. To keep it sustainable, I went with a glass dropper bottle, but instead of a typical plastic or rubber cap, I used a bamboo push cap. It's a more eco-friendly option and also makes the packaging look a lot nicer. As for how it's used, after shaving, men can just grab the bottle and use the dropper to apply the product right onto their face. It helps avoid using too much or making a mess. It works kind of like a face serum. And from personal experience, I think that's one of the best ways to apply skincare products. When the bottle runs out, they can just buy a refill pouch that comes with a good amount of product. The pouch is 100% recyclable, and since it holds a lot, they won't have to repurchase for a while. It's a simple way to cut down on waste and save money, so no need to toss the bottle every time they run out. Reflection, overall, this project was super fun because I really enjoy working on packaging designs. Woo! Getting to create everything from scratch made the process really interesting. Going into it, I wanted to make sure the brand identity reflected the visual style of the Italian Futurism movement. I paid close attention to the artwork and typography in the examples we were shown and aimed for something that felt bold, a little chaotic, but still clean. I mentioned before that I was torn between going minimal or full on chaotic, but in the end, I mixed both, and I think they actually worked really well together. I especially loved how many sharp dynamic shapes showed up in the movement, so I let that inspire a lot of my final design. For the brand's color palette, I went with something earthy and fresh, which felt right for the vibe of this product. It also leans into a more masculine aesthetic. For the packaging itself, I went for a spa-like look or to reflect the product's quality and also so it looks good sitting on someone's bathroom counter. Great. So let's go ahead and take a look. I could tell by this part that you were into the product, the packaging design, and I'm really glad you shared that with us. So I do love like the layout of all of this. It looks really nice. For anything over 4 lines of text, though, you want to left align it. So I recommend this paragraph and these two left aligning them instead of center align. You can actually justify alignment. That would look really nice. And then we have these. Looks really cool. Great. Okay, so I want to get to the logos here. Sorry, I'm going back to just see if that vertical one was used anywhere, and I don't see it. Okay. So we used this logo and then this symbol that you created. I'm going to zoom in on the symbol. I'm not crazy about how it turned out. Like I liked it in the sketch that you made, but here it is looking like you stacked some letters in Illustrator and then used either the shape builder or some of your path uh, uh, path maker tools to break up the shapes and either delete the shapes or turn them into compound shapes or just change the color fill. So the reason why I mention that is because this portfolio, like what you're making right now, is to go into your final portfolio for the, so since it's going to go into your portfolio for the major, we want potential employers to look at this stuff and we don't want them to have the same thought that I had about this shape. So this is great. This layering here is really wonderful. What I'm not crazy about is how distorted the text got. Like the A is squished and the V is squished. The Z does not look squished. And I see like that you did take into considerations a lot of things, like that this part in the inner angle of the Z is similar to this part here, and that the overlapping part here is the same as this. Like that's really good. It's the Z part, this part with these little extra parts hanging off, that's not really great. And the distortion of the two letters. So, with it, that being said, would you consider, instead of having a photo of an aloe plant, building the aloe plant out of some of these letters? Do you know what I mean? Because then it would be like a super angular futurism shape, and it could be used as your it would, because right now there is a bit of a disconnect between this realism photo and the logo style. You know what I mean? And so if you were to build that little aloe plant out of the text, it could look really cool and really tie the whole brand together even more. You'd still get that nice spa feeling with these gradients, which is also still a futurism aspect, right? They use a lot of gradients in the paintings on all kinds of stuff. You're using your secondary font, we'll still keep that. And then you'll also have this spa-like feel because of your clean layout of all of your information and this beautiful texture that you're adding with the green packaging. Let me just zoom out so we can see it all. Okay. Sorry about my clumsy scrolling through there. And with the bamboo top, that will also help with that too. So back to this, if you wanted to have a symbol, I would just use maybe this triangle, the A, and then put your Z in here and have it hang off the edge like you have your V hanging off the edge. So like an AZ with the triangle, just kind of simplify it. I don't think you need the V also in there. And I would literally take this one exactly, leave the A exactly where it is, and then throw the Z in there, and call it a day for that symbol on the top. Okay, great. So I see this like pinkish cream color, but I don't really see that. I wonder if that's supposed to be like that bamboo kind of color. Maybe it is. Okay, just wondering. One more thing. Okay. Other than that, the concept is fantastic. I love uh, the refillable pouches and everything. I think it's really pretty, and yeah, it's a great idea. Thanks so much, Riley. Next up is Claire. So here is Claire's persona for Arthur. Love this. And don't smell like you forgot you're an adult. I love that. All right. So here is our artifacts worksheet, and we are going with the facial cleanser. Excellent. We got a good looking mind map here. Really great. And here's our mood board. Really cool. So you went with a lot of colorful futurism paintings. I love it. Really nice. This is one of my favorite futurism pieces right here. I just love it. Really cool. Great. Cool color palette too. That's really fun. I like this tertiary colors. Excellent. All right. And here's our logo packaging. I'm sorry, our logo and packaging sketches. All right, there we go. Okay, cool. So here's radiare or it's actually radiare. And then we got a really cool icon, some fun geometric shapes or textures. Excellent. I love that Arbotech. That's a really cool font. That E is so sick. With Futura, my favorite. Ooh, this turned out nice. Really nice. Great. So I can see that you really gravitated towards the color, like the color that you saw in those paintings, and you just really went for it here on your packaging. It's really nice. Great. Really cool. Okay. So I've always been an advocate for eco-friendly practices, so I was excited to work on this project. In recent projects, I realized that Symmetry and geometric shapes are some of my strengths, so I thought this would be an easier direction to take. However, I struggled with how to incorporate the art movement into the design. I had a hard time deciding which geometric shape to use for my pattern. I started to overthink it, but reminded myself to keep the idea simple. I also got frustrated because the triangle colors, red, orange, and blue, looked darker than expected on the mock-ups due to the shadows. For my brand name, I chose Radiare because it means to radiate in Italian. When I think of skincare, I picture someone becoming radiant by taking the time to care for their skin. My sustainable packaging idea turns liquid face wash into dry sheets, with each sheet equal to 1 pump of foam cleanser. You just add 5 to 8 drops of water, lather in your hands, and it's ready to use. I wanted to aim for zero waste, so I coated the packet in scented wax. Once used, it can be torn and placed in a wax warmer to make the room smell nice. Oh, I love that. For the logo, I combined sketches 6 and 8 because I wanted to show movement in the icon. I struggled with diagonal motion, so I went with horizontal movement instead. At one point, the design started to look like a plant, but I fixed that by adjusting the shape of the line stroke. Even though I ran into challenges, I really enjoyed the process, especially working with bold, strong colors, which was one of my favorite parts. Yeah, I could tell. Really nice. All right, so I like how this icon is above the logo here. I'm going to come back to that, okay? On top of that, so we have this shape, right? But now we're introducing a sun shape, okay? And we have this background texture, which is different than these guys here. Let me go back to our paintings real fast. Okay. So the paintings themselves do have some radiating things, right? Especially up here, we've got these radiating things. Okay. I can see where you got your lines underneath the word, like the inspiration for those, because we have some things like that here and over here, um, and even in here, down here. I'm trying to think of like how you could make your background pattern a little more like one of these paintings. So let me get back into that. Because these two geometric styles, this one, if you were to go in here and add gradients to each of these little spots, would look super futurism, but really that's going to take forever. So here's my thought. So to make it not look like a plant, you said you just changed the lines, and I do see that. It looks more like fire. And I don't think that you need both aspects of these horizontal lines and this radiating shape. You know what I mean? So I would recommend placing the word below the shape. If you wanted to have this one line underneath it, you could keep that, and then it would become this whole thing. Right? And then the word would also work on its own, and the shape would also work on its own as an icon. But I think you can eliminate these bottom two lines as long as you're keeping that icon. So I'd say you want to keep the icon, get rid of the bottom two lines and stack them vertically centered. If you like this better, then get rid of the icon and just keep the 3 lines, because that's totally futurism on its own, just because the font is like that and these shapes are very reminiscent of that. Okay, then the other thing you could do is you could get rid of the sun, and you could take your shape here and turn it and just, reference part of it here. Or you could, yeah. I just think that logo needs to be bigger, and because your information hierarchy is a little on these ones confusing. Like I see face wash sheets nice and big, which is good. But then the next thing is energizing orange, and I don't know if that's more important than the brand itself. I feel like the brand might need to be the next biggest thing, then energizing orange, then formulated to refresh. Okay. Um, Over here, I like this information hierarchy. That makes sense to me. So if you were to change your logo to have Radiare really big across the bottom here with one line, then I would scale down the size of that whole logo a bit to keep your information hierarchy the same as how you know fix it over on that side. So I do like the colors all together with the blue. I think that's nice. I think it was a good idea to get rid of the green. You don't need it when you have the orange, red, and blue. But this background pattern is not, I don't know, it's just not working as futurism. If you could get rid of like the white, then maybe it would work. But I don't know if you can get rid of that. But I do like the placement of this part. I think it looks really nice and um, yeah, I think the sun, oh, is it because it's energizing orange that we have the sun on there? That might be part of it. Okay, I'm catching up. So, okay, so we've got, if we do have the sun as energizing orange, maybe have that near the words energizing orange a little bit more. Like if this was to change with different flavors or scents or fragrances, um, then maybe show us another version that has like, I don't know, illuminating lime or, uh, you know, stuff like that, detoxifying blueberry or whatever, and show us like the three different versions of it and how the packaging changes with that. But you don't have to do that. It's not part of the required, you know, things in the assignment. Okay. But with the sun, so you have it here at full opacity, but then over here now we're losing opacity. So keep it consistent. You know, we got to keep it consistent across all the products, okay? And lowering the opacity is not futurism, so don't lower the opacity. All right. Thanks so much, Claire. All right, next up is Nico. So here's Nico's persona for Dave. Great. Excellent. And here is your mind map, looking good. Very good. Excellent. Here's our mood board. We got some Italian stuff in here. We've got our futurism inspiration. Excellent. You chose lots of design specific futurism. We've got one painting, but that's good. We got some nice color palettes and some great product inspiration. Good. All right. And then here are our thumbnails, which I haven't seen yet. Excellent. Okay. Did we have our list here? No. Okay, so no analysis list. Oops, I'm sorry. All right, fortificare. Fortificare. Okay. Great. So Modula OT tall is fun with a thong lore. All right. And that's a really nice color palette, very masculine. All right, great. So here is our mock-up. Looks nice. Excellent. So we got some sunscreen, roll-on sunscreen. Great. Okay, good. Looks good. I like all the little icons on there. And the text on the lid, it's really nice. Great. I liked creating my own product with the masculine aesthetic. It was interesting to observe the design choices seen in men's hygiene and grooming products. A challenge I faced was creating the sun rays and fitting the text properly. To overcome this, I used the Pathfinder tools. The colors I chose reminded me of the masculine demographic and sustainability. I chose the Modula OT tall font because it reminded me of a gate. I also included sun rays to communicate the purpose of the product. Lastly, I incorporated a speckled grain texture to highlight the paper material of the product. In my final design, I chose to use sun rays and change the placement of the slogan. Great. All right, so I like the flag um, effect of the text. Sorry, get back in there. Okay. I like this like flag or rise effect of the text. It looks really nice. I like the changing the size or scale and height of the text. I do recommend though, like if you could somehow keep your thickness of the O and the R the same as the rest of the text, I think that would really help with readability because um, it's just, I don't know. So sometimes when you change the scale of text and it doesn't change, it doesn't keep the same weight, then it just feels like you just shrunk text. But if you change the scale but keep the same weight, then it looks super intentional and like you're a tricky graphic designer. Do you know what I mean? So I think that like it's almost like you're turning the F and the O into a ligature, and that would be nice. The R, not so much, but the T and the I feel like a ligature. The F and the I feel like a ligature. The R doesn't feel like a ligature because it's not like fitting into another letter, but it doesn't need to, you know. But like, why is this R this scale and this R is this scale? So it might make more sense to, you know, shorten but keep it kind of fat, like stout or wide, this O, so that it fits underneath the F arm there, and then, or crossbar. And then with this one, instead of making this R so tiny, keep the same height R as this one, but maybe fit your A in between the two into the C, you know what I mean? But you still have that accent. So I would try to keep your thickness of that line as wide as you can. Okay, so that was being super nitpicky. As far as these rays go, I don't really see rays like this style in any of our futurism inspiration. If we see rays, they're more shaped like this, like kind of triangles, or like this, you know? There's a lot of radiating for sure, but I don't see it as thin, broken lines. I feel like that's a little more boho style. So I just recommend going in there. You can use your width tool. Beep, 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 beep. You can use your width tool and expand the top of these, and then it maybe even expand the bottom of these so that they come to kind of a point this way, if you understand what I mean. So at the break, expand the width and leave the ends thin like this so that you're creating all these kind of little triangles, and then you can go the opposite direction for these, or you could just expand this side as well, whatever makes sense, you know. But usually, oh, I think I said it the wrong way. Maybe even try expanding the width from this part and creating triangles this way. That might look even better. Okay. Then, yeah, that looks good. So this all looks really great to me. So whatever changes you make to your logo, just put them back on your mock-ups here. But I think they look really beautiful, and I really like the color palette. I like these little icons. This sun is a different style, so get rid of it or turn it into futurism somehow. Whatever however you treat these rays. do it here and get the highlight off of it. It's very cute, but it's not futurism. All right. Excellent. Thank you so much, Nico. Next up is Jessica. Here's Jessica's persona for Marco. Great. So Marco is a scuba diving sort of photographer. Excellent. All right. Here's our artifacts. So we got deodorant and facial exfoliant. Great. Here's our mind map. It could be deeper, Jessica. I think you can go further. And here's our mood board. All right, this is a really eclectic mood board. So we've got some fun packaging options here. We have some futurism, but we have futuristic stuff in here. So get rid of the futuristic. It's just going to confuse you. It's two different things. So no futuristic, only futurism. This is futuristic, futuristic. This is futurism, futuristic, Art Deco. I don't know what that is, but it's cool. But not for this project. Futuristic, futurism, maybe yeah, futurism. Okay. All right, let's see where we're going with this. Okay, a bucket style container. Great. I don't feel like I've seen these. Okay, and then here's our logo. We got a really nice color palette. Really cool font. Techno. So the word is Technica, which means a skill for or like technique. Okay, great. Technica. All right, so smaller exfoliant sticks for the on-the-go traveler, lightweight and easy to carry. The bucket is a product that will fit into a small container shaped like a miniature paint bucket. Various sizes of Technica will available to fit the customer's needs. So here are the sticks. Here's the bucket. So we're going with the facial exfoliant. Okay. I chose the font Technofolia because because it not only fits the futurism theme, it even matches the branding. Darker colors were used because there are not many bright colors on the items being advertised towards men. I chose metallic textures because it gives off a sleek and minimal presentation. I want it to feel nice in the hand, therefore the outside will be a thin metal foil and inside will be made of recyclable cardboard. I would like to become a packaging designer one day, especially one who strives to use sustainable packaging. So this project was perfect for me. What made this project difficult was designing something that isn't too detailed, but still appealing to the eye. For the logo, it took me a while to come up with the shark logo to represent my branding. Being a girl, I don't usually think about the design of men's hygiene products. This project challenged me to think more creatively about what would appeal to men and work out of my comfort zone. Super. Okay, so let's go on back here to your logo. So the Technica, the words are great. I love that font. I love what you did with the T and the E. I don't know if that was a ligature that it just automatically did that, or you just tightened up your kerning there, but it looks really cool. I love it. I love that font. Then I love the color palette as well. The shark is a great idea, but this shark is not futurism. So I'd like you to go back and check out some of these futurism pictures here and see how you could turn your shark into a more futurism design. So all you have to do is just break it down into shapes like triangles and rectangles essentially, and you'll have a futurism shark, and then just change those colors. to match your color palette, just like they did here with this lemonade dude. All right. Um, and then he can still kind of wrap around the product like this. I think that's fine. I'm sorry, around the words like that. Um, but just so let me zoom in on this. So it'd be kind of cool if his tail like went behind one of the legs of the A and then came out in front of the other leg, just so that he's sort of kind of swirling through it and interacting with the text a little bit more, you know? So you could consider doing some things like that. My dog is making so much noise in the background. He's driving me nuts. Like I said, I love the color palette. I think this metallic texture is really cool. So I am confused about the paint buckets, and I love the stick. So the stick is made out of cardboard. Like I can see it's made out of cardboard, and so that feels more renewable to me. Um, Sometimes the uh, be quiet, Elroy. Sorry. Sometimes the recycling plant can't recycle things that are mixed together, like a metal or foil on one side and cardboard on the other. Um, so I would just put on your packaging that the whole thing can be recycled, just, for the sake of the assignment. And then, but the paint buckets, like they cannot be recycled, unfortunately. And this one has plastic on it and stuff. So while I'm glad that you got the chance to make some mock-ups for different package designs, because they're all different too. Like you're doing different things on all of them. I want you for this assignment, like you can keep these in your back pocket for, another project or for something else in your portfolio. But for this assignment specifically, since we talk about specifically renewable packaging, this is the way to go. And if you could find, like, I love this for a travel size, and then if you could find a bigger version that is similar, like a similar kind of packaging that's like a cylinder that's made of cardboard that you can put a foil texture on the outside, go with that. And then just make sure that your packaging is consistent. I love the shark on the top. You have these neat shapes coming in, but make sure that you hit all the things that I told you to list on the package. And so we see different views of the package, like front, side, back, or whatever. And that it's completely just consistent on the travel size and then the regular take home size. Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. All right, next up is Ray. Here's Ray's persona for Joseph. Great, he's an outdoorsman. Okay, and then here is our group artifacts. I'm not sure which way you went because you didn't circle it, but that's okay. Next up is our mind map. It's pretty good. And our mood board. Great. So we have some really cool futurism like paintings or drawings. We have some really neat renewable packaging ideas. And we've got a futurism poster. This is cool. I love that. I've never seen that. That's awesome. Wow. All right. I love that. And we've got some plant stuff. Great. And we've got Futura. All right. So I can't wait to see what you went. Oh, that turned out nice. Let me look back here. So it looks like you went with, sorry, I'm switching back and forth. Great. Okay. So you kind of went with number 13 and number 5 mixed together a little bit. That's nice. Okay. And then here is our brand guide. Okay. I like that color palette. All right. I just read your paragraphs here. And then here are our mock-ups. Great. All right, so what is Avanzare? Avanzare deodorant is the first in a growing line of men's hygiene and skincare products. Avanzare is focused on sustainability, not only taking care of yourself, but the planet as a whole. Like the caring, hardworking men we may encounter in our lives, we at Avanzare are here to make sure our customers feel their best so they can do their best. Thus, our first product launch starts with our all-natural deodorant. When you buy the deodorant starter kit, you'll receive a reusable deodorant stick that can be replaced with refills when finished. That way, we take a meaningful step toward moving away from single-use plastics. The refillable deodorant case is made with an aluminum alloy, strong like you are. That means it can really last. The refills are packaged in recycled cardboard and framed in a mushroom-based bioplastic. Thus, the entire thing is biodegradable and harmless to produce. We urge customers to further contribute by recycling the product after they're finished. Every material in this product is lightweight as well, meaning that less fuel is needed to transport a refill from us to your home. The refill structure also allows you to change up scents without buying a whole new product. Every cartridge is compatible with the case. Great. And here it is. Very nice. Cool. Okay. Okay. All right. Reflection. This project felt a lot tougher than the other ones, in my opinion. I think the main challenge I faced was that futurism just really isn't my favorite art movement. Fair enough. It's very industrial, masculine, and kind of callous feeling. Yeah, I agree. I do see its merits, of course. I love how futurism had a deep understanding of movement as well as experimenting a lot with shapes they used and deconstructed. Their complicated history with fascism also doesn't sit right with me. I agree. But hey, sometimes history, including art history, can make you feel discomfort sometimes. Regardless, I also just had a hard time brainstorming ideas of how to marry environmental materials and aesthetics with futurism. They just are pretty diametrically opposed. That's okay, nothing wrong with a challenge, but wow, that was a challenge. What I did to overcome that artist block for me was to really hone in on what futurism is great at design wise, or at least what I really like about it. I love how breathtakingly fast the art looks. Thus, I really honed in on how to make nature seem as comparably fast as a speeding car or train. Though I am sure Marianetti would scoff at this statement, I feel like the flight pattern of a bird just feels so much more sophisticated than that of a plane. I feel pretty satisfied with how the project ended up, especially compared to how lost I felt at the beginning. The only thing I would really change is that I wish I had more time to make a much more complex illustration for the packaging, like that of Severini of a Severini piece. I had to revisit this. I'll have to revisit this later. Okay, well, here's your chance. So, all right, let's do this. All right, so with your logo, I like the wind going through it. I feel that. I get that feeling. And I love like this gradient that you kind of created, like a feathering or like a hazy feel off of the lines. The the leaf as well, like this part, like you mentioned, swiping up through the edge of the leaf is very nice, like these parts here. And then making the Z turn into the negative space, changing the color on the leaf is nice. And the gradients that you use there are really nice. So that's really good. We're having, I do recommend you fix some of your kerning, which I'm scared is going to mess up these beautiful lines, but this is too far apart compared to this here. Okay. This is too far apart just visually. This is fine because we've got the leaf there. I feel like this might be a little far apart. So what I recommend doing is creating a circle that is going to fit between these two letters, and then you use that as a unit of measurement. So you'll move that circle over here, and if it doesn't touch, put one of the edges of the circle on the V. If the A doesn't touch it, you need to nudge the A closer until it touches the other edge of the circle. And then do something similar here, like find a comfortable spot between the A and the N. So like visually, this, I'm sorry, not visually, technically, this space here is probably correct. But because we've got this big gap here, it's looking like the A and the N are too far away. So just squint your eyes once you fix these three. I mean, once you get this to line up like this, squint your eyes and just see if you nudge those three letters over towards the N a little bit more, if it looks better. Take that circle that you made here, place it between the N and the Z. If it's okay, leave it alone. I can see that this space is smaller than this space. Do you see that? So it's probably fine. Then this is fine. This will be similar to what you did over here. And then take your circle and place it between the R and the E. That might be correct. That looks pretty good. All right. And then just when you're done, squint your eyes and see if you see any like giant gaps that are just looking a little weird, and nudge as needed. Okay. All right. So great. Then on these, I'm not quite getting these new lines that you created. Like this stuff here. I don't get it. And then we have this. Let me look back at this stuff. Okay, I see it. Okay, so if we were to go with sort of these curves or these big curves mixed with, then I feel like those curves would be overlapping here as well, like you did on this side. So if I was to, okay, so that's what we've got here. And then you lose me at the birds and these clouds. Those just don't feel futurism at all. These trees feel futurism, the way you layered them with the gradients. But the bird shapes are just a bit too organic, and especially when you silhouetted them out here. So let me go back and look at this. Oh, we've got a bird up there, but we've got that little wiener dog. I don't know. I feel like you could make the bird more geometrically geometrically represented. I think you could do that. I think you've got the skills. So, and you don't need 3 birds if that's too many, but I see why you did them on the ends here. So, yeah. All right. That's a lot. That's a lot to change, and I'm sorry. But it'll look more futurism. I promise. And then did you have another color? Oh, green. I think the green could be incorporated a little bit more too in this. All right. Great. Thank you so much. And last is Victoria. So here's Victoria's persona for Oliver. Excellent. I also hate countertop clutter. And here is your artifacts analysis. You went with mouthwash. Great. And here's your mind map. I think you could do more. I like a busier mind map. And here's our mood board. Great. All right. Lots of good futurism options and renewable packaging. A lot of tin. Okay. And great font choices. Okay. May I read this? Excellent. So this is dissolving mouthwash tablets. Great. All right, hold on. Let me go back to this. Okay, so we went with like design 10. Cool. Very nice. And it's called Velocita. Velocita, I think is how you'd say it. No, maybe that's 2 C's. I know a good chunk of Italian, but every once in a while I guess I'll get a little stumbled up. Okay, I love the color palette. I think it's really nice. These fonts are super fun. The icon turned out really nice. I'm going to come back to that. I just want to see it all on here. Really cool. Okay, so I am confused about the two different tins. Reflection. I found that this project has given me the most freedom so far. The style of futurism, in my perspective, is a bit simpler to work with. It features more bold design, geometric shapes, and high contrast colors. I also found the use of gradients, such as a harsh black border slowly merging into bright reds and blues. I can see how modernism has emerged out of this movement. When it came to learning about eco-friendly packaging, most of the standard cases included recyclable plastic, forms of paper, and biodegradable plant materials. When it came to observing the art presented in the module, the theme of technological advancement, along with visual motifs of machinery, was heavily present. The gradients I would also see in the art would remind me of shiny metallic material, so I opted to have product packaging line feature a reusable metal container. When it came to designing my brand Velocita or Velocity, Velocita. I think it's Velocita. Sorry. It was inspired by the futurism themes of movement and advancement. I had a different name for the brand, but we were instructed to use a single word. The single word represented speed and direction, which my product, a mouthwash tablet, would be easy and quick to use or carry. In reference to my persona, a traditionally masculine person, the logo is an edgy mint leaf graphic paired with a bold font. I found the design to be the hardest to work on as I came up with up to 4 variations. Its color palette was easy as it is centered on mint flavors, greens and blues, and the font selection provided in class gave me a wide variety of bold and dynamic fonts to pair within my design. I'm proud of the duo product design as the tubes are made of eco-friendly paper material, which can contain bulk amounts of my product. And then the tin keeps a standard amount that is easy to trap with. Got it. Okay. It's more common to provide refill options in other countries, yet this method has been becoming more popular in the US with face wash, body butters, and perfumes. Great. Okay. Now I get it. Thank you for the explanation. Great. So these are super simple and they look really nice. Hold on. And these are the little tablet. Okay, got it. It's a picture. Cute. Okay, great. I love the symbol on the top there. Looks really nice. Okay, so it does change colors depending on the flavor. Great. It's just very subtle. This is a little bit weird because it looks like it's filled with wax or soap on the inside. It doesn't look empty. So I don't know if you can change that. Um, and if you can't change it, then I would just make 2 of these. You know what I mean? But I would say on there, instead of just saying dissolvable mouthwash tablets, write like, so this is 100 in here, so this would maybe be like 1,000, or you said, no, I'm sorry, this would be maybe 20 tablets or something. Um, you know, since that's the one you kind of refill, right? All right, so as far as the logo goes, these may be centered, but it doesn't look centered because of where this is falling. Do you see that? So I do recommend adjusting that. So making this leaf fall directly between the O and the C. So it's equal on both sides there. And then I'm just looking at your kerning here. I think it's okay. I was going to say, I feel like there might be a little bit extra space here, but I think it's fine. All right. So if you do need to, if it is centered and you want to adjust it, you might be able to fix that by just adjusting some of the kerning between a couple letters on one of the sides, and then it automatically realigns itself to be perfectly centered. You know what I mean? Okay, great. The other thing I was thinking was maybe introducing some of that gradient into your icon, but it's not necessary, you know. It's just something you mentioned you liked in the art movement. So, okay, excellent. Thanks so much, Victoria. Thanks so much, everybody. I loved them.